Hello and welcome everybody to tonight's webinar on the stress diet, rebooting your metabolism to lose weight, heal your thyroid, and repair your adrenals. We're going to have a blast tonight going through all of this, have a lot of great stuff to share with you. As you come in, do me a favor, as you come into the webinar, just go to the chat box and just tell me where you're from. Just give me your first name and say, hey, Jade. That lets me know that you can hear me okay and that you can see my screen okay, and also allows me to, get to know you guys a little bit. So once you come in, please just go ahead and, find that chat box and, send me a little message. And that's also where you'll be able to ask questions as well as we go through this. So we're going to be getting started here in just a little bit as people come in. I could see people popping into the webinar now, so that's good that you're all here. I just want to make sure that you can hear me okay. Hey, Stacy. So I see Stacy from Colorado. Karen, Joey from Charlotte, Amarillo, Texas, Ginger. God, this coming in so fast, right? Philly, Huntington Beach, Woodinville, Washington, Kentucky, the UK, Hawaii. Hey, Ellen from Hawaii. And lots of people from my hometown in Winston-Salem. Hey, Laura, how are you? New Hampshire. Great. Thanks so much, guys. Just as you come in, just let me know where you're from. Love to see people from overseas as well. I know it's a little bit late, for some of you in the UK and in Europe, but I can see some of you popping in as well. So it's great to have everybody on. As you come in and you tell me where you're from, lots of Canadians as well. Love having you guys on. Seeing a lot of people from Toronto, Montreal, etc. Very cool. Okay, good. So everyone's got my sound okay, and you should be seeing, my presentation for the stress diet up there. I'm just gonna wait and make sure that everybody can get through okay and is hearing me okay. So Natasha from Sydney, Australia. Hey, Natasha. My wife, Jill, was actually just in Australia. She was at, I guess, Bondi Beach. She spent some time there. She absolutely loved your country. Very cool. Thanks for being on here. And Kathy from Virginia and Pina from New York. Great. Thanks so much for being here, everybody. I'm just waiting just a second. I want to make sure everyone gets on. We got a very big group coming into the webinar tonight. And you will be having a chance to ask me your questions at the end of this presentation. And so let's just wait a few more minutes and then we're going to get started. One of the things I want you to think about as we wait to get started for the next couple of minutes is I want you to think a little bit about, before we get into this conversation, I want you to just take this time here in the beginning to think a little bit about your journey in health and fitness and weight loss, why you're actually here. It's important to kind of think about that. I want you to think about where you've been, the things you've tried, the things that have worked, the things that have not worked. I want you to think about when you were young, how things went for you with health and fitness. And now that if you're a little bit older, I want you to kind of reflect on that. And I most especially want you to be thinking about what you feel the weaknesses are regarding the current way that we practice weight loss and health and fitness in general, and what you think those weaknesses are. Because what I'm going to share with you tonight is probably going to challenge much of what you believe about weight loss. And I decided tonight that I wasn't going to try to overwhelm you with information, but I do want to give you a very insight-based and insight-driven webinar. I really want you to leave here with some very key ideas that will leave you in a much better place for your health and fitness journey when you get started. So let's go ahead and get started. Thanks so much for telling me where you're from. We got a ton of people. Most everyone's from the US here, but some from the UK and a few from Australia as well, and many people from Canada as well. So the title of this webinar tonight is The Stress Diet. One thing I'll say, by the way, because some of you are saying, hey, Jade, what about buffering issues and things like that? Here's the thing, just some housekeeping items right up front with webinars. Webinars are really very much dependent on your own internet speed, okay? So you have obviously my internet speed. I have a fast internet here where I am, so it's unlikely the problems are going to be coming from my end. That is possible though, but most of the time it's going to be internet speed on your end. So if you're having any issues or you get disconnected, just go ahead and log off and log back on. You might also want to shut down all your other programs that are running in the background on your computer so that you can hear me okay, and so that your computer is working at a fast speed. That might help with buffering issues and things of that nature, okay? So the title of this presentation, The Stress Diet, Rebooting Your Metabolism so that you can lose weight, heal your thyroid, and repair your adrenal glands. Now, the reason that we did and I built a program through Metabolic Effect called The Stress Diet, which teaches all this stuff, which I am going to talk to you about at the end of this webinar, is because I have had a very personal relationship with how stress impacts the physiology. And I, at first, denied that this was having any impact on me. It took a lot of struggling and a lot of working with other people, and then finally getting smacked in the back of the head a few times before I finally figured this out for myself. And so I'm going to tell you a little bit about that story as we go through this. So let's get started here. The first thing that I want you to understand is a little truth about weight loss that you might not be aware of. Here is what you believe, okay? And what I say, what you believe, it's maybe you're a little bit more savvy, but it's really what I believed for a very long time, and it's what most of the world of health and fitness still believes. In fact, it is their mantra, and that is that if you decrease your calories or your carbohydrates, which is all the rage right now, right? If you do that, if you lower calories and decrease carbs, or if you exercise longer or harder or more often, those two things are going to cause weight loss. That's what the whole world believes. Now, the interesting thing about that is that it does not actually work that way. It works more like this. In order to lose weight, you have to balance output, the amount of energy you are putting out, whether that be exercise or just movement or just daily living, with fuel. In other words, you have to fuel your body so that it performs. And when you do that, when you fuel your body in the right way so that it performs, you will decrease metabolic stress. And when you do that, you're going to lose weight for good. So there's two very different ways of going about this. The one way, what you currently believe, which is, hey, I just decrease calories or carbs or fat, wherever you're coming from, whatever your nutritional bias or the nutritional diet flavor of the month is, you just do that and you exercise like crazy. Either you go run longer or you lift harder or you do that more often and you lose weight. The fact of the matter is, though, that does not cause a decrease in metabolic stress. In fact, what I'm going to show you tonight is it can actually increase metabolic stress for many, many people. And if you are on this webinar tonight, I'm betting you are one of those people. So what does stress look like? This is what most people think stress looks like, right? They think that stress is this emotional thing. They think it's this feeling of anxiety or this feeling of depression or this feeling of overwhelm. They think it's all about emotions. In other words, they think if they're not feeling emotions, then they can't be stressed. And this is certainly a form of stress. No doubt about it. What you see in this picture is a form of stress. However, there are other forms of stress, and I want to talk about those. For example, what you're looking at in this picture is a form of stress, and we don't often see it as such. In other words, exercise is an interesting thing, isn't it? Because we all think of it and have heard about it as a stress reducer. And it is up to a point. In other words, if you get exercise correct, if you do the right intensity, if you do the right duration, if you do it often enough but not too much, it actually decreases stress and in fact helps you adapt and get stronger. However, what we oftentimes do not think about is the fact that exercise can become a significant metabolic stress to the body when it is overdone. And guess what? It is often overdone. It is often overdone. And we don't talk about that much. So not only can stress be this emotional turmoil, this overwhelm, deadlines looming, lots of things going on, this big long to-do list, it can also be overactivity, overstressing the body in the gym. Here's another form of stress, nutritional deprivation, right? Psychologically counting everything that goes in your body, worrying about every morsel that goes in your body, stressing about calories and macros and GMOs. And is this organic or is this not organic? And if I eat this, is this going to make my head explode? And if I eat this, is this going to make me fat? And if I eat this, is this going to give me heart disease? And does this have toxins in it? This is another form of stress, isn't it? And just by its very nature, if you're not eating enough to help your body do what it needs to do in its everyday processes, that's a stress to your body. So here's the interesting thing. Just like too much on your to-do list can be a stress, too much exercise that is too intensely, exercise that is done for too long can be a stress. Just like extra to-do list can be stressful for you emotionally, not eating enough or eating too much can be a stress, right? So what I'm getting at is there's this bell-shaped curve of exercise and nutrition that many people are tipping over and they don't understand why it's not working for them, right? They don't understand this. So the first thing we need to do is understand what stress is. Let me drive this home for you. What you're looking at in this picture is a form of extreme metabolic stress. Now, this is a new mother. She's just had a beautiful baby boy, right? She's elated. And perhaps she's the happiest she's ever been in her life. Yet, she just went 9 months with this baby taking all of her nutritional resources, or much of them. She is now sleep deprived. She is now thrown into a life that all mothers, my mother has told me this, and mothers that I've worked with have told me this over and over again, that there is nothing that can prepare you for the life switch that occurs when you have a kid. One life ends and another life begins, and there's a huge adjustment period. We don't understand that this woman that you're looking at right here is under extreme duress, is under extreme metabolic stress, despite being incredibly happy. Does that make sense to you as you see this? That we need to start thinking about stress differently, because whether or not you feel emotionally stressed does not mean you are stress-free. Does not mean you are stress-free. That is important. That is the first concept that you really need to understand. Now, the next thing I want to do is I want to tell you about a client of mine. I'm going to call her Amber. That's not her real name, but I'm not going to give you her real name. And this client was one of the first clients that I had that tipped me off into stress being a major cause, not just a contributor, but a major cause of gaining weight and not being able to lose it. Now, let's not get it twisted. Let's not make it more than it is. It doesn't mean it's the major cause for everybody, but it is a major cause for many, many, many people. So we're not going to sit here and make the same mistake and say, oh my God, I just listened to this webinar with Dr. Jade and he said that stress is the cause of everything and nothing else matters. Not true. For some people, it's not stress. It might be food. It might be something else. But for many people, it is. So let me tell you about my patient, Amber. She came to me. She had 3 kids, young children, relatively close together in age. And she also had a career that she started when her youngest went back to school. She was one of these super women mothers who did everything. She ran the household. She worked in a career. She took care of the kids. And she ate and exercised and did everything right. Now, let me tell you why she was so impactful for me. Because unlike me, which I'm going to tell you my story in a minute, unlike me, she was disciplined beyond belief. If I told her to do something, she just did it. It did not matter. Keto diets, paleo diets, vegan diets we even went on. I even put her on a vegetarian diet as I was trying to figure out her case, and nothing worked for her. She would get results for a time, maybe a few pounds here and there, and then she would blow right back up again. And I, in the beginning, was thinking she must be cheating, but we would do diet diaries and everything else. She was strict with everything, just basically a machine. Something happened along the way for her. And what happened was she began to do a few things that shocked me. And I want you to see if you can guess maybe what those things were, perhaps. These are all the approaches that she tried, okay? These are the approaches that she tried. And I want you to think, which approach, right? She tried the low-carb, keto, HCG, medications. She was on thyroid medication, by the way, when she came to see me. We tried adjusting all of those things. She had done HCG, not with me. I put her on low-carb diets and keto diets. She also did paleo, and she actually was not a CrossFitter, but she did CrossFit style workouts, metabolic conditioning. She went on a few vacations. She did low-fat vegan and lots of cardio. What do you think worked for her? Which of these approaches? You probably get the point, right? Many of you have already heard this story if you've been following Metabolic Effect for a while. But what worked for her is that here's a woman who, due to circumstances, monetary circumstances and things like that, she did not go on vacations. It's not something she would allow herself to do or she would do very often. But after some time working with her, months, I think it was about 1.5 years, fighting back and forth, trying to see what would work, she went on vacation. And she came back and she got on our body fat scale and had her measurements done. And she had lost weight, okay? She had lost weight. So I, of course, am like, oh my God, what did you do? And I'll never forget the look on her face. It was a look of confusion, anger, sadness, pretty much all at the same time. And she basically almost yelled at me and was like, this is impossible. This cannot work. And she was so frustrated. She wasn't happy because she was so confused. We sat down in my office and I asked her, I said, what's going on? Tell me what happened. She goes, well, on vacation, I did nothing. I ate what I wanted to eat. Basically my whole regime was shot. I did not work out at all. And you're telling me I lost weight. And this confused us. It confused me and it confused her. But I went and asked her everything that she was doing. What did you do? And her day looked something like this. She would sleep in. Now, she was not a good sleeper at home. And even on vacation, she told me that she actually wasn't sleeping. She would wake up at 4 o'clock like she normally did. But she would, maybe get out of bed for a little while and then just go back and lay in bed and kind of hang out, or go get in bed with the kids and sort of lay there because she didn't have to make breakfast and get ready and go off to work and get them ready for the school bus and all that kind of stuff. So she kind of lounged around in the morning and would sometimes drift back to sleep. During the day, she would hang out on the beach with her kids, basically out, sun tanning and things like that. She did not go to her morning workout. She walked on the beach with her family multiple times. She went and did a lot of different activities. They went hiking, parasailing, all this kind of stuff that you do on vacation. The most shocking thing she said is that she would pretty much not really eat most of the day, just pick at stuff. But then at night, she would essentially, from her way of putting it, gorge herself. She had pasta and alcohol and beer, and she just enjoyed herself, and desserts, and just ate whatever she wanted to eat. And she lost weight, and not just a little bit of weight, but a significant amount of weight. And this literally kind of shook me, because once I saw this, I was just like, we've tried everything else. Let's try to duplicate this. Let's try to duplicate your vacation. What I want you to do is I want you to stop exercising so much, limit it to 2 times per week. I want you to try to duplicate your walking that you were doing. Find a way to walk as much as you can, because that's one thing that you were doing a ton of while you were on vacation. Obviously, we can't duplicate the sun tanning and things like that, but we tried to put in some other things like spending time in the sauna. She would actually go to the gym, and instead of working out at the gym, she would jump in the sauna at the gym, and did a lot of different things like that, hot baths and lots of relaxing stuff, and telling her to get a massage here and there when she could, which, you know, was more difficult for her to do. But here's what happened. What happened was, as reluctant as she was, she ended up losing over 30 pounds right around that mark in a 3-month period. Now, you have to understand, this is a woman that I worked with for a year and a half with nothing. And all of a sudden, boom, she starts losing weight, and it just starts falling off her. This was a big, big, big clue for me. Now, let me tell you about another clue for me that didn't sink in until much later. Let me tell you a little bit about my story. My story was, I was a bartender in medical school. And medical school is pretty tough, right? So all week long, I worked in medical school. And unlike some of the kids there, I had to work full time. So Friday, after I got out of class or clinic, I went to the bar. And I would stay at the bar. I would basically get off at 4 o'clock. And then the crazy thing, I still can't believe I did this, but then I would sleep, get this, 2 hours. I'm not kidding. And after a few weeks of that, I actually asked my boss at the gym if I could sleep at the gym. It was a little private studio that was down the street from my club. So I didn't have to go home 30 minutes and then come back, just so I could sleep a little extra, which he allowed. But I would go Friday night, sleep 2 hours, and I'd work a 12-hour personal training shift, training someone every 30 minutes with a 30-minute lunchtime. Then I would go back to the bar Saturday night, and I would work till 4 again. And then Sunday, I would try to sleep in, maybe get a workout in. And then all week, I would go to med school, which is in itself a whole different type of stress. And then Friday would come around again, and I would do that grueling, ridiculous thing again with the bar and personal training. And around this time, I started getting fatigued. I started feeling pretty shitty. I started not being very motivated to work out anymore. And I also, through a series of events with my girlfriend, who is, still a dear, dear friend of mine, and we laugh about this sometime, but around this time, she also introduced me to a place called Jamba Juice, and also soy lattes and soy mocha lattes, actually. And because I was stressed, right, I basically was crushing these things. I thought, hey, I can use the protein in the Jamba Juice. And after about 3 months of this, my brother Keone looks at me and says, and we all like die laughing when we talk about this now. And actually, we don't call Jamba Juice. We call it Jumbo Juice, because he looked at me and said, hey, Jade, where you going? Jumbo Juice? And it dawned on me at that point in time that I went from 215 pounds to 250 pounds and was fatigued like crazy and just didn't know what was going on. So I went down to the lab at my clinic, had them draw blood labs, and I had a hypothyroid condition. I was extremely adrenally fatigued, and I had a severe vitamin D deficiency as well. Maybe being in Seattle had something to do with that. And I was fat and I was exhausted. So of course, what I did was I went ahead and said, all right, I'm going to get back in shape. I'm going to drop some of my personal training clients and drop one of my bartending shifts, take out a little bit more school loans, and ease up a little bit of my schedule. And I was able, by the time I graduated from school, I was able to get lean again. Now, let me tell you about the banana effect, because many of you may not know the banana effect, but I bet you do know the banana effect, because it's something that happened to me. Unlike Amber, who was incredibly disciplined, when I was going through this stressful time, what would happen to me is I would do things like the following. I would say, you know what? I can't have carbs. Carbs make me fat. And I would have bananas sitting there in the morning maybe, and I would say, well, I can't have a banana because it has too many carbs in it. Makes me, make me fat. I can't have the banana. And what would then happen is 3 days later, 4 days later, because I didn't have the banana or wouldn't let myself have healthy things like a banana, healthy carbohydrate, I would end up binging on pizza or pasta or cheesecake, and I would go on these huge binges. And I've come to call this the banana effect, because I've seen this over and over and over again with people where they don't do something that could be healthy, have a baked potato with the skin on, or a sweet potato, or a banana, or something like that, and then instead end up binging like crazy. And this is a stress effect. Through a series of things that happened through my business, this same scenario happened again. So I lost that weight. I lost all that weight that I gained in medical school. And by the time I was out of medical school, I was again lean, starting a company, working out like crazy, working all the time, writing a book, just crazy busy again. And before I know it, guess what happened? And guess what? Jumbo Juice wasn't involved this time, but I blew up once again to 250 pounds. Happened just like that as soon as I started getting back into this crazy schedule. But for some reason, this time around, and by the way, by this time I had already run into Amber. I had already dealt with many Ambers and helped them deal with stress, and saw that stress was a big piece of the puzzle and was already doing a lot of this. But for some reason, I didn't think it applied to me. And I know for many of you on the line, you're probably thinking the same thing. Jade, I'm not stressed. This can't apply to me. It's not the same thing. I need to work out. I love to work out. I love my regime. I was so attached, almost like a religion. I was like, I am a healthy, fit person. What I do is I exercise. What I do is I do crazy metabolic conditionings. I took it as like a source of pride, a badge of honor. And so for some reason, I did not want to ease up. But it got so bad that I basically had to, because I just felt so bad. And finally, I relented, and I decided I am going to do something about it. And I started to change my regime around. I started to take days off of work. I started hiking in the North Carolina woods again, opting for a hike instead of a grueling metabolic conditioning workout. I bought myself, I realize not everyone can do this, but I went ahead and just did it. I got myself both an infrared sauna and a vitamin D lamp, and I did a few other things so I could build rest and recovery into my lifestyle. And the result of that is the following. These before and after pictures, where if those of you who have been on our email list have gotten these and seen these. Now, these are taking about a year apart. And over the course of that year, because I did not do anything drastic, unlike Amber, this weight did not come off me immediately. I did this very slowly. And the last few months, I went out to LA for a video shoot that I was doing for an infomercial. And that's why I'm tan in the one on the right here. But you can see a profound difference. And I'm going to tell you, this is what may shock you guys. The person on the left, right, was somebody who was working out more than the person on the right. That might be shocking to many of you. I was actually working out more often. I was also trying my best to deplete carbohydrates, but I was suffering from the banana effect on the left. And in the right, I was having pasta or potatoes or something like that pretty much every night, stuff that I loved. I am not kidding you when I tell you this. It's still crazy for me to even think about it. So this is where this basically comes from. Why do I share my story about Amber, and why do I share my story about myself? The reason I do that is because we humans are funny creatures. We need someone to show us something tangible. We don't care about the science and all of that kind of stuff unless we can see it with our own two eyes, unless we can do it. And sometimes, as was the case for me, even when we see it in others, it is not fully, as many times as I had done it for other people, it did not fully sink in until it happened with me. And that is just a funny consequence of being a human being, isn't it? It's kind of crazy, right? So here's the thing. Now I want to teach you a few things. I want to teach you a few things that I learned, some big insight things that I want you all to begin to look at very, very closely in your lives right now. And the first thing I want to teach you is something I want you to stop doing, okay? I want you to stop doing this. What do I want you to stop? I want you to stop being a dieter. What is a dieter? A dieter is somebody who is constantly thinking that both food and exercise are the fix for their problems. In other words, they just think all I got to do is eat real food, or stay away from GMOs, or don't eat gluten, or cut my carbohydrates way down and make sure I go run for miles every day. And I just got to eat less and exercise more. And nowadays, right, the eat less, exercise more mantra has taken on a lot of shades of gray, right? So now it's not just eat less, exercise more. Now it's like do high intensity interval training and cut carbs, or go on a cleanse, right? Or avoid gluten and do marathons, or do CrossFit and follow a primal based diet. All these kinds of things, right? So there's many shades of being a dieter. That's the thing that you need to stop doing. And the reason why is this. If you are on this webinar listening to me talk right now, chances are you have tried this until the cows have come home, haven't you? Like me, working out like crazy, doing all the right things, not seeing the changes. You know, the definition of insanity, right? We all say it. It's a cliche statement, doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different outcome. That's what this is. And the statistics, by the way, in science show that this is an abysmal failure. Eating less and exercising more for the vast majority of people is an abysmal failure. 95% of people gain the weight back. 66% of people end up fatter. Not only do we see it over and over again in our friends and family, and some of us experience it in ourselves, but the research shows that as well. And here's what's confusing, by the way, about being a dieter. Being a dieter seems to work for some people, and it works for most people in the short run, right? Most people who eat less and exercise more, especially if they've been a couch potato, it's going to work in the short run. Which is why we all think, hey, we should do this, because we don't understand. Again, another tricky thing about being human is we don't always understand that short-term results that leave us worse off in the long run are not a good outcome, right? We oftentimes forget that. So what I want you to do is I want you to stop being a dieter. That's the thing, though. When I tell you to stop being a dieter, stop letting food and exercise be your only tools to help with your health and fitness, then what else is left, right? That's where you have to start looking beyond diet and exercise. And so there's also something I want you to start doing. What do I want you to start doing? I want you to start being more like a metabolic detective. This is a concept that Metabolic Effect has been talking about a long time. Our acronym is ME, or me, right? We came up with that acronym in the beginning because by that time I already knew that one size fits all solutions were not how this works. I already knew that just eating less and exercising more across the board could not only was not a solution for everybody, but for many people could actually make the situation worse. And I'm going to say this again. If you're on this webinar, you probably know that what you're doing is not working, but you're not yet convinced. You're not yet convinced that doing less of what you think you're supposed to be doing is actually the approach that you should be taking. You don't buy into this less is more idea. You don't yet understand the smarter versus harder idea. Right here, you're looking at this, not too hot, not too cold, but just right, right? Goldilocks. This is a take on Goldilocks. Ultimately, what you need to be doing is you need to, like I said, stop being the dieter and start treating your lifestyle like Goldilocks. You need to check and see, is your diet too much or too little? Right? Are you going to the extreme with your diet? Or are you really, you might be one of those people who's just sitting on the couch gorging on Doritos all the time, right? But if you're not, and you're cutting carbs and cutting gluten and cutting GMOs and doing all this craziness and still not seeing results, then what's happened to you is you have not gotten it just right yet. You've tipped the scales perhaps in the other direction. So I'm talking to two people probably on the line. There are probably some of you who are in that camp where you're like, hey, Jade, I'm a beginner. Right? So I don't get what you're saying. I'm not exercising at all. I'm not really, I'm overeating. So doesn't that mean I should eat less and exercise more? That's one group of you. The other group is like, Jade, I'm doing everything right. I eat less, eat carbs, eat less carbs, get my carbs right. I exercise more. I'm still not seeing results. In both camps, what you want to do is just because if you're a couch potato, right, and you're eating Doritos all day long, does not mean you want to automatically get up, run out the door, and become a marathon runner and a vegetarian. What it means is you want to find balance. Right now, you're out of balance. Obviously, sitting on the couch and eating Doritos is not going to be the approach that you need, but neither is becoming a CrossFitter and a paleo person either, perhaps. What you need to do is you need to find balance. And for those of you who are the extreme metabolic conditioning people, the high-intensity interval people, the people who are eating strict, you also need to realize that perhaps you too, just like the couch potato who's eating Doritos all the time, right? And I'm poking fun. Obviously, none of you are doing that. But what I'm saying is you need to find balance. So on both ends of those spectrum, you need to become the metabolic detective. You need to find what is too hot. You need to understand what is too cold. And you need to pinpoint what is just right. Now, this is a tricky situation, isn't it? Because we as humans do not like this. What you want is you want to say, hey, Jade, I know you're in the health and fitness business. I want you to tell me what I should do. Matter of fact, I want you to give me a meal plan and some recipes, the exact workouts I need to do. Please tell me when to do them, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Should I do them at night? Should I not? What supplements should I take? And all of this stuff that you think that if I just hand it to you like a recipe booklet, it's automatically going to lead to linear, predictable, incredible results for you. You need to get that out of your head now and forever. We know that that does not work. It's up to you. You need to tweak. You need to adjust. You need to understand your body. You need to see how things are working, and you need to change things. And if you are doing high-intensity interval training all day, every day, and cutting your calories and carbs and all this other stuff way back and still not seeing results, guess what? You need to change. And if you're that other person who's like, Jade, I don't have the motivation to exercise, I'm eating too much, I'm not moving enough, then guess what? You need to move to the just right phase. That's what we're talking about here. So these are two very big insights that you must understand. Stop being the dieter. Start understanding that the body deals with stress the same, whether it's sitting on the couch and eating too much or whether it's pounding the pavement and eating too little. Stress is the common denominator in these factors. Too much exercise, too little exercise equals stress. Too much food, too little food equals stress. And yes, stress also equals emotional turmoil, overwork, sleep deprivation, and all the other stuff that we associate with stress. But we need to start understanding what we are talking about here, okay? We need to start understanding that stress is far more than you may have ever realized. Now, I'm going to give you a hint. I'm going to give you a hint here. How do you know when your body is under stress? Here's an interesting thing, right? I gave you two scenarios. One person who is not exercising at all and eating whatever they want, right? And the other person who's exercising like crazy and not eating everything and depriving themselves. Guess what these people have in common? They have dysfunction in hunger, energy, and cravings. Both of them tend to be hungry all the time. Both of them don't seem to feel very good, have low energy. And both those groups of people have cravings constantly. Why? Because their body is under stress. I have come to call hunger, energy, and cravings an acronym, HEC, H-E-C, hunger, energy, and cravings. If HEC is out of check, this should be your mantra, especially if you've been following Metabolic Effect for a while. You now understand how critical this is because HEC in check equals balanced, unstressed metabolism. heck out of check equals a metabolism that is stressed out. Now, is this always true? Not always true. But 99% of the time, if your hunger, energy, and cravings are out of control, you can pretty much guarantee you have put your body into a stressful situation. Does that make sense? So that's the first thing you need to start doing. You need to say to yourself, wow, am I under stress or not? And it does not matter if you're doing Bikram yoga, and it does not matter if you're gluten-free, and it does not matter if you're staying away from all the GMOs, and it does not matter what you are doing. If your hunger, energy, and cravings are out of check, then you are under stress no matter what you are telling yourself. And you need to take my advice. Listen to it. I've been through it and I've seen it. And you need to understand your system, your body is in a stressed out situation. And that is not just contributing to, but potentially causing your weight loss resistance. Okay. So what I want you to do right now is I just want you to sort of send me a little message. Tell me, hey, Jade, yes, this makes sense. This makes sense to me. I understand. I want to make sure you guys are with me, because here's the thing that oftentimes happens. We oftentimes will say, hey, tell me what to do. Give me the recipes. Tell me this, tell me that. And we forget the insights that drive this. You need to understand what to do, right? Information is not transformation. Information is not transformation. So we need to understand this. So I've told you what to stop doing, right? Stop dieting. I've told you what to start doing, right? Which is start understanding that you have to seek balance and know when you are out of balance and know where your heck is in check or not, right? And now the third thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to give you the start to this. I can't go through all of it, but I need to go through the start with you. I'm going to tell you how to get started. And here's how you get started. Remember Amber, when she went on vacation and thought, oh my God, I actually lost weight. This is so confusing. And remember me, when I cut my shift back and I stopped taking as many personal training clients and I decided to take on a few more school loans so that I wasn't killing myself while I went through medical school. In both of those cases, that was a case of giving my metabolism a vacation. And so you need to give your metabolism a vacation. Now, let me be clear, because I know there's essentially two people probably on the line. Those of you who are just getting started and who are beginners. And those of you who are going crazy, doing everything right, and aren't getting the results. Both of you need to give yourselves a vacation. The people who are sitting down, not exercising and overeating, you're going to give yourself a vacation from that. Those who are exercising like crazy and not eating, you're going to give yourself a vacation from that. So you're both going to move to this approach. Now notice that I'm not going to tell you people who have not yet started, who are just now entering this journey, who are not very active and who are not eating on extreme diets. I'm not going to tell you to start doing anything extreme, because the last thing I'd want to do is tell you to do something that is just going to make things worse for you in the long run. I certainly could take the tack that most people in the weight loss industry do for those types. I could say, you know what, you're not moving, you're not eating very well, do this craziness, and guess what's going to happen? You're going to lose weight for a little while. You probably will. And guess what else is going to happen? Like a metabolic credit card, short-term results, long-term pain. You will gain the weight back, okay? You will gain the weight back. So how do you give your metabolism a vacation? Here's how. There's 4 different approaches that you can take to diet. What most people do is they eat more and exercise less. I've been talking to some of you on the line, right? The other approach is to eat less and exercise more. It doesn't matter what that looks like, whether it's less gluten, less carbs, less calories, less GMO, whatever it is, and more exercise. Now, there's 2 other ways you can do this. You can eat less and exercise less, and you can eat more and exercise more. Now, notice on the eat less and exercise less and the eat more and exercise more, what is the common denominator there? Output is balanced with intake, isn't it? In other words, your body is fueling itself. It's not getting mixed messages. It's like, oh, I'm moving less. I'm not exercising like crazy. Therefore, he is feeding me less. Oh, I'm exercising more. I'm doing a lot of this crazy stuff. Therefore, he or she is feeding me more. This makes sense. I like this. Those two, eat less and exercise less, and eat more and exercise more, are far more likely to keep your heck in check. They're far more likely. However, when you are beat down and you are fatigued and you are overwhelmed and you are foggy brained and you're dealing with thyroid and adrenal stuff, I can tell you from experience, the last thing on earth I wanted to do when I was feeling that crappy was move into the eat more, exercise more model, because that's the model for an athlete. That takes an awful lot of motivation. You can't just go from idle speed to full blast and expect it to work out all right. It works for some, but what I have found is the real metabolic vacation comes from eating less and exercising less, or what I call EL. Okay? So let's talk about that a little bit. It's actually very, very simple. I'm not going to make this complicated for you guys tonight. It's pretty simple to do. EL follows what I call a 3-2-1 model. And by the way, I learned, finally I learned this, that simplicity is the key to this. I used to make these long, drawn out, really specific, eat this, don't eat that, have this recipe, do this, do that, all this stuff. And all it did was overwhelm people. EL, this very simple 3-2-1 model, is profound in its impact because it is so simple. Do not let simple fool you. The simplicity of this is partly why it's so effective. 3-2-1 nutrition. Remember, EL is an eat less, exercise less approach. The body has to process less food. It gets time between meals to repair itself and to relax and to rest and to digest. And there's not a lot of exercise, okay? Now, one key point that I want to tell you here is movement and exercise is a little different. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. But for nutrition, the 3-2-1 essentially means, the 3 means 3 meals per day. The 2 means 2 of those meals are going to be protein-based or vegetable-based, essentially eggs and maybe low sugar fruits, or salad and protein, or protein shakes, or non-starch crock pots or slow cooker recipes, or salads, right? And then 1 meal at the end of the day that includes starch. Think about me, what I was telling you what I was doing, and think about Amber, what she was doing. She was going all day, not really eating much, and then she was having pasta and even alcohol at night. And so was I when I was out in Los Angeles and when I was going through this year transformation of getting my health back and getting my physique back. I was saying, hey, I'm not going to fall prey to the banana effect anymore. But there's one trick here I can give you, one clinical pearl for many, many, many of us, especially me, who has this sort of weird thing that when I start getting stressed out, when I'm sleeping, I almost feel like I'm not sleeping. I almost feel half conscious the whole night. Then I wake up at 4 and can't go back to sleep. And it's just this weird thing. But guess what helps with that? Starch. When I have potatoes, sweet potato, maybe, yes, oh my God, gasp, a little bit of pasta at the end of the night after not having it all day, it helps me sleep, and it helps many of my patients sleep. Is it going to help everyone? Well, that's where you find out. Not too much, not too little, but just right? You got to find out. 3-2-1 of exercise means 3 Rnr workouts. And actually, I'm going to tell you what these Rnr workouts are in a minute, but what I mean by these Rnr workouts is I mean rest and recovery. And what I mean by 3 is I mean 3 at a minimum. You can do way more, and you should do way more. In addition, 2 intense workouts, maybe weight training, maybe metabolic conditioning, something like that, maybe a run, but no more than 2 of them. And then 1 hour of walking, and specifically leisurely walking, slow walking every single day. Now, you might say, well, Jade, that doesn't sound like an exercise less approach because you're walking all the time. Well, walking is very different than exercise, because exercise done to lose weight or perform better or get stronger raises stress hormones. Power walking even raises stress hormones. But 1 hour of leisurely walking, and you can do more actually lowers stress hormones. It's actually very, very restful for the body. Surprise, surprise, right? So very different. And so, yes, if you want to get into semantics and you want to be in particular, then we can call EL, 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 EM, right? Or EL, EL, EM. Eat less, exercise less, move more. Or I guess that would be EL, EL, MM, right? But you get the point there. The key to this, though, is this. What most people do is they'll hear me say this and they're going to say, all right, Jade, I got it. I'm going to go do the 3-2-1 nutrition. I'm going to do the 3-2-1 of exercise, and I'm going to see if it works. And I'm going to tell you right now, the most critical aspect of this, the aspect that Amber did not want to do, the aspect that I did not want to do, the aspect that most of my patients don't want to do are the Rnr workouts. For some reason, they just don't feel like they're doing much. They feel like a waste of time to us. They don't feel like we're doing something, right? Exercise at least feels like I'm doing something, right? I go for a walk, I feel like I'm doing something. I feel at least I'm being somewhat productive. But these Rnr workouts are critical, and I have found that they are perhaps the key that lights the engine, right? It ignites this whole process. What are these things? Walking, but specifically leisurely walking, meditation, naps, sleep, right? Now, I want you to check with yourself right here. Everyone who's on the line, I want you to check with yourself, because I bet you many of you right now are saying, oh, this is interesting, but I won't do any of those things. That is the problem right there. If you would make these as much a priority as you do your show at night, your favorite sitcom, or your high-intensity interval training session that you must do. I know, because I was the type of person, I was like, that's who I am as a person. It's part of my value system. I had to change that. I had to change from someone who lives a rest-based lifestyle, right? So Rnr workouts, rest and recovery workouts, walking, meditation, naps, sleep, massage, Tai Chi, yoga. Let me stop here with yoga. Restorative yoga only. Bikram yoga is very intense. Other types of yoga are very intense. That means that if you're going to do it on your 2 intense days. Do not do it as one of your 3 or more Rnr workouts. Laughter, right? Laughter is a very big one. Spa time. What do I mean by spa time? I mean time in a sauna, right? I mean contrast hydrotherapy or hot baths, or I even mean getting a manicure or a pedicure or a massage. You see on here, and maybe some of your eyes jumped out at this because for some reason we have this very weird relationship to orgasm and sex as humans. It's kind of taboo in our culture. But orgasm is perhaps one of the most relaxing things that a human can do. So sex, masturbation, as taboo as it is in our culture, is a very relaxing. Oxytocin, which is released with orgasm, is one of the most relaxing things to your system to rebalance and reboot your metabolism. Time with pets, time with family, time with creative pursuits, herbal teas, hanging out in nature, listening to birds and things like that. And here's the trick, because I hate to bang on computer and TV, because we would like to say, hey, can't I just sit around on Facebook, and can't I just sit around watching TV? And the interesting thing about this is these Rnr workouts, research shows, interestingly, that here's the deal with TV and computer. They are relaxing for a short period of time, 5 to 10 minutes, and then they become draining on the psyche. Actually, research has a word for it. They call it psychic entropy, the slow loss of our psychic potential due to TV and computer. In other words, they drain you, they stimulate you in the short run, they drain you in the long run. Sounds a lot like dieting, doesn't it? It works in the short run, it burns you out in the long run. And so it's not that we're saying TV and computer you should not do. It's just that these don't count as your Rnr workouts because they can be so draining. If you are going to watch TV, right, there's one potential caveat perhaps, is laughter, right? A funny sitcom, a funny movie, that might do the trick. So 3-2-1 is where you want to start. This is how you give your metabolism a vacation. This is how you do it, right? It's profound in its ability to do that. Now, here's the thing, right? I just went through some pretty profound stuff. Now, I want to stop here because here's what we tend to do. And when I say we, I really mean we, because I do it too. I'm human just like you, and we all have these same tendencies. But I have given you 3 pretty profound, right? Pretty profound insights two specific ones, stop dieting, or two rather, vague ones that are big insights, stop dieting, right? And the other one, really become the metabolic detective. And then one very specific one. Now, some of you are probably wanting more. You're probably saying, Jay, tell me more. Tell me what to do here. What about this? What about that? Can I eat this food? Can I eat that food? If you're doing that, it's normal, because guess what? I would be doing it too. But what you have to learn is that you have been given plenty. Part of understanding not overstressing your body is understanding not overloading your psyche either. This is where to start. By the way, I'm seeing a few questions come in here, and I see someone asking about reading and someone else asking about painting and things like that. Creative pursuits are much different, and reading actually has been shown to be very different than TV time. So yes, reading Harry Potter in a book versus watching Harry Potter on TV or the movie is very different. One is an Rnr activity that is stimulating and relaxing and regenerating. That's reading. The other is draining to you. And you need to understand that difference. And guess what? You know all this already, don't you? Think about what it's like if you sit around and watch what I've been known to do on occasion. I don't watch much TV, but I have been known to watch a marathon of Suits on a Saturday and then feel like, oh my God, I just feel exhausted. I didn't do anything all day, but I'm completely exhausted. Last thing I want to do is go for a workout. However, if I read or I write a blog or I do that kind of stuff, for some reason now I'm charged up and I want to go work out. So we all know this. I'm sure it's the same for you. So here's the interesting thing. Now you're sort of at a crossroads, so to speak, right? Because you have a few options. You have a few choices here. Number one, you can, pretty much do nothing. Ignore everything I said and just say, you know what, Jade, I don't believe you. I don't think stress has much to do with anything. I'm going to keep doing exactly what I'm doing. Forget about it. And guess what? I wouldn't blame you, because that's what I did myself for a long time, even though I was seeing it in my own, with my own two eyes. So that's one choice. Do nothing. Go on and do the same thing you're doing, getting the same results. The other option you have, right, is you can say, okay, Jade, I'm going to take this information and I'm going to try to do it on my own. I'm going to basically say, hey, I'm going to do this, do it on my own, and I'll try to do my best with it. And what I would say is great, except for one problem. Most of us, given the stressful overwhelm that we work in, that is not going to usually work for us, right? If it would work for us, why do so many people still fall short even when they have all the information? Information is not transformation, is it? The next piece of the puzzle, their next choice, is to get some help, to do something that is going to keep you on track, to be engaged with the community. And that is why I developed the stress diet program that you guys all have been hearing about. That's the point of it. What it does is exactly what you're here for. If you are here, you are on either one end of the spectrum or the other. You are exercising like crazy, doing all the right things and not getting results. Or you're not doing anything right now. You're sitting on the couch and eating what you want, and you've probably tried diets and are terrified of them because you get the same result every time. You diet for a little while, you either get results or you don't, but you end up worse off in the end, right? This is the solution to that. This is what we have developed here at Metabolic Effect based on my experience with Amber, and my experience now helping thousands, both in person and online, break through this plateau, right? Break through this plateau. This program is built with several modules, and I want to tell you a little bit about this. In module 1, you're going to get the welcome module, which you're going to get the ebook that basically gives you everything you need up front. It's almost like a cheat sheet, so to speak. You're also going to get access on how to interact with our coaches, because with this program, you get daily, essentially 24/7 coaches from the Metabolic Effect coaches. So if you have a question, you get that answered, because here's the thing. This is a different mind shift, isn't it? This is something that is not, you're not used to this. You're going to have questions. You're going to need help. We deliver that for you. In module 2, we're going to teach you how to become the metabolic detective, how to find your Goldilocks point. In module 3 and module 4, you are going to learn everything there is to know about the thyroid gland. If you suffer from things like Hashimoto's thyroiditis, or hypothyroid like I do, you're going to learn about that. If you have adrenal fatigue and have been told that you have adrenal issues or you've been fatigued without any help, you're going to learn how to solve that. If you have seen changes in your libido and you have seen changes in menses, or you're dealing with things like PCOS, Module 4 is going to teach you how those things are impacting you, okay? Module 5, you're going to be getting the workouts that we recommend for this particular program. And in Module 6, you're going to get all the resources that you need to do this. You might be thinking, hey, Jade, I think I have a thyroid problem. What tests should I get to check it, and where can I get my tests done? All that is laid out for you in this program. So you might ask, who is the program best for? Well, it's best for those with weight loss resistance. It's best for those with thyroid disorders. It is good for those of you who are a beginner or a couch potato, so you do not make the same mistakes so many people make by going to the extremes. If you are dealing with polycystic ovarian syndrome, it's good for you. If you're that kind of person who's wired but tired, like I have been, or foggy and fatigued, or overworked and overwhelmed, this is the program that you want to be thinking about getting. Adrenal fatigue. If you're the person who's been doing everything right, I hear that refrain all the time. I'm doing everything right, Jade, but I'm not getting results. Then this is the program that you should be trying, okay? Now, the question then comes up, Jade, all right, tell me about it. How much does it cost? What do I need to do? How do I get involved? Now, here's the thing. First of all, I want to tell you guys something that's pretty profound about the internet. I think it's pretty cool. You probably think it's pretty cool as well. The internet has changed everything we do, hasn't it? When I used to deliver this in person, you would have to come and see me weekly or bi-weekly. And it would typically take 3 to 15 months to get you on track. And guess how much that would cost you? $1,000 or more. I mean, think about it. You're working with me, monthly or bi-weekly, right? And you're paying thousands of dollars, and I have to keep up with you. Well, guess what? The internet allows us to do that. I can basically work with you virtually every single day. I can give you all the information in video. I can have my coaches available for you constantly, right? I'm seeing questions come in. People say, what about leaky gut and those kinds of things? Absolutely. You're going to learn all about leaky gut in this program. Those of you who are dealing with Hashimoto's and autoimmune conditions, this is the program that literally this program could have several names. It could be called the autoimmune program, right? Because stress so impacts that so much. It could be called the weight loss resistance program. It could be called the PCOS program. The reason it used to be called the hypothyroid and adrenal program, the reason we changed the name to the stress diet and updated it recently, so this is basically version 2.0, is because we had so many people tell us stuff like, hey, Jade, I had rheumatoid arthritis and it's gone after going through this program. That's crazy. I've been on medications and I didn't even do anything, I felt like, but it's gotten better. My doctor's taking me off my meds. Craziness, right? So here's the deal. You're not going to pay thousands of dollars for this. You're not going to do that because now we can deliver in a fashion that makes it very economical for you and also allows me to deliver all this information in a very concise manner. The other thing you're going to get, by the way, in this course is our metabolic damage course as well. Because here's the thing. We also built a metabolic rehab program for those people who were chronic dieters and really got in trouble. Well, I wanted to give that as a bonus for this program, but that bonus is only available till Sunday. Then we're going to take the bonus away. And so it's a really good time to get this program now. The metabolic rehab course is going to teach you the 3 stages of metabolic damage: metabolic compensation, metabolic resistance, and metabolic damage, and how to use them. So you're getting a whole other course valued at $97 when you sign up for this course. Plus, you're going to get daily coaching, which I happen to think is priceless when you have someone that you can ask your questions to immediately. That, to me, is something that I really wish I could have had for people like Amber and people that I worked with way back when I wasn't available to do that for them. I think it would not have taken so long if she had that available to her. And what's the cost of the program? The cost is $97 is what you're going to be paying for this. So you're not paying thousands. You're also getting the metabolic rehab course as a bonus, and you're getting coaching. To me, I'm going to tell you guys flat out that to me, this program is the program that I feel like for 70 to 80% of the people who walk in my door, or I meet at a cocktail party, and they just come up to me and say, oh, you know, Jade, I've heard about you, blah, blah, blah. What do I do for XYZ? This is the program, probably without knowing anything else about them, I would recommend for them. Okay. And here's the thing about this. The beautiful thing about this program and all of our programs at Metabolic Effect is that there's a 30-day money-back guarantee. So when you buy the program, you're actually not buying it, you're trying it, right? That's what basically you are doing. You're trying the program. We actually let you all try the program for 30 days because if you don't love the program, if it doesn't give you results, if you don't start seeing changes in your fatigue and your weight and all of that kind of stuff right off the bat, then I haven't earned your money. And we've made it a mission of ours to make sure that you can buy these programs and try them on and then get the money back guarantee if needed, okay? Now, one of the things is, again, I'm seeing questions come in related to the Metabolic Rehab course. No, it will not be available after this launch period. It goes away midnight Saturday. That's when you have to order by to get this rehab course, okay? Yes, the coaching will still be there even afterwards, okay? But I don't want you guys to miss out on the rehab course. Let's talk about the final aspects of this before we get into questions. I have told you, and you know this, so we all know this. I'm the same as you. Us humans are funny. We're procrastinators, right? I am, you are, we all are. It's just kind of being part of being human. But the bottom line is this. There really is no reason why you need to continue to suffer the way you're suffering if you are stuck this way. And here's what I would tell you to ask yourself if you're kind of thinking, you know what, Jade, I'm still on the fence. I don't know about getting the stress diet, right? I don't know about, you know, this. What can you tell me? Do you think this will work for me? The bottom line is this. Can I tell you 100% that anything will work for you? No, I can't. But I can tell you that if you continue doing the same things, either do nothing or continue going at it alone, I can tell you that your chances of succeeding are slim to none. What I can tell you is by getting involved with a group of people who have dealt with this, who have helped thousands, and having the coaches available to you dramatically improves your chances of making the changes that you are after. We are going to make this super simple for you. So that's why I have this picture up here, because essentially to me, it is a choice. You always have a choice, and it is a crossroads. Either do nothing, do what you've been doing, which is try to go at it alone, or let us here at Metabolic Effect, let me help you do this, okay? So if you would like to get involved with the stress program, the stress diet program, I've just put the link up here for you, okay? Just put the link up here for you. And this new software, I think, allows me to also plug it into your web browser for you. So we'll see if that worked. But I also sent you all the link to the stress diet program as well. And now what I want to do is I want to take questions from you all. So let's get into the questions here. Go ahead and begin. And as the questions start to come in, I want to say a couple other things about this. Some of the things, right? One of the things I know is going to come up before anyone even asks, and I think I saw a couple people asking this anyway, is what about menopause, right? What about menopause? Well, very interesting thing. And of course, I can see as I scroll back, many of you were asking about this. Menopause is a form of metabolic stress. So is andropause as well. Aging is a form of metabolic stress. So you're never going to completely get rid of stress in your body, okay? However, when you take menopause and andropause, what happens is your body now is far more stress reactive than it has been previously. And andropause and menopause, andropause, by the way, for those of you who don't know, is the male equivalent where you lose testosterone. This makes the situation much, much worse. Now, the question is, Jade, you have a menopause program. Which one should I do? What I would say is if you're menopausal and you've been dealing with thyroid or adrenal stuff, then I would opt to this program versus our menopause program, if you know that you've been dealing with thyroid and adrenal stuff. However, if you're menopausal and you haven't really been doing that, then the menopause program is going to be far better. So hopefully that answers that question for you. So there's a ton of questions coming in. I'm going to try to get to as many of them as I can. So let's go through this. This person says, what about adrenal fatigue and leaky gut? I think I addressed that, but there's a whole module in here on leaky gut syndrome for the stress program. It basically goes through, teaches you what leaky gut is, and teaches you how things like Hashimoto's thyroiditis and those kind of conditions can develop due to essentially gut integrity issues. And that this is the case for all autoimmune issues. And so that is addressed because it is directly related to it. So in this program, in the stress diet program, you will get not just what leaky gut is and not just what adrenal fatigue is, but how to deal with them, how to test for them, and also what supplements to take. So Karen asks, I've already purchased the adrenal program. Can I get access to the damage course without buying again? So the answer to that, Karen, unfortunately, is no. This is a one-time promo bonus for that. But you do get the updated version of the hypothyroid and adrenal program since you bought it before. And that just is another thing that all of you know. When you buy the stress diet program, any updates we do, you get those updates. So Karen had bought previously, and thank you so much, Karen, for doing that. But you're going to get the updated version of the stress diet as well. Our bonuses come along only during the launch periods. And so you have to get those bonuses during those launch periods. And I hope you understand that. Is the metabolic damage information included if we are part of the Lifetime Access Pass? Absolutely. If you are a Lifetime Access member, you get all of our programs. You basically can purchase all of those programs, and they're all available, and they are currently in your account. So you can just go in and get those programs. And when we update those programs, like we just did the stress diet program, you get the updated versions as well. So as an All Access Pass member, you get all of those. So thank you so much for doing that as well. Let's see, where are we? Let's see. Okay, were there anywhere where I can keep track of my measurements so I can see the changes that I'm making? Absolutely. So Julie, what you can do is we actually, our team member, Gary Leak, who many of you may know Gary, he's the one that does everything on the back end and just is an amazing guy that provides all kinds of resources for you. He actually built a tracking software for all of you. And you can access that tracking software. And I'll type it. Let me see if I can type it into the chat for you guys. But it's, I'll say it slowly for you as well. But it's http:// I'm just writing as I say this. metaboliceffect.com/me-shape-calculator. So metaboliceffect.com/me-shape-calculator. And I think I sent that out to you guys. I'm using a new webinar software, so I'm not 100% familiar with it, but I think that should have gone out to everybody as well. But that's where you get that, and that is a really nifty way. That's the way we like to track. And by the way, private clients I work with and that Keone works with, we actually use that tracking software in our clinic. So you're getting access to that as well. And that's an absolutely free service that we make available to you. Okay, so where are we now? Let's see. So Jade, I already have the Metabolic Rehab and Adrenal Hypothyroid program and did the Feed the Lean contest last fall. Do you think I need to join this group or just follow the programs myself? I've gotten started on the adrenal program overview and module 1 last week. What do you suggest? Well, you got the updated version, okay? So you can basically go along with this particular program, okay? So you're doing everything you need to do. What I would do is, a lot of people are going to be coming into the group, the coaching group, and many people will be starting the stress diet. And so what you may want to do is start the program over again and begin going through with them. Kate asks, Jade, what about supplements? Supplements are tricky. I can tell you this right now. There are very few supplements. In fact, there are no supplements that can duplicate what the lifestyle changes will do. If you want me to break down what are the most important things, and this is based on, I hope you guys know, a very reluctant person who just did not want to believe this for himself. But if I was going to give you the overview of what are the most important pieces, I would say the Rnr workouts first. They come first, okay? They come first. Next is probably the nutrition aspect. Next is the exercise piece and getting that right. And then finally is the supplement piece. Rnr workouts are the biggest one though. Okay, another question. Is the metabolic damage information included if we are part of the lifetime access pass? Yep, I answered that once, and that's certainly true. It is. If you're an access, if you have the all access pass, those of you who are interested in that, by the way, it's where you can basically buy all of our programs in one shot, and you get all of our programs, our current programs, for the life of those programs. Okay. All right. And let's see. And by the way, it should already be in your account. And sorry for kind of going back and forth here because these questions are jumping around. But Lisa says, you mentioned a vitamin D light. Where might I find one of those? I got mine from a company called Sunsplash. Sunsplash, Sunsplash. And I'm sitting here looking at it right now. I have the Sunsplash 10. And what that is it's basically a almost like a tanning bed, but it adjusts the UVB, UVA ratio so that you can get more vitamin D and less of the tanning effect. It does tan you a little bit as well, but you're getting less of the negative UVA and more of the positive UV light, okay? Okay, so let's see. Where are we? Okay, I just had my blood work done. A little confused if I should purchase the menopause program or the stress diet. So again, many of you will be in this boat, right? Because the menopause program and the stress diet, oftentimes menopausal women, because of what's going on with estrogen and because it impacts the adrenals and the thyroid slightly, you may be thinking, oh, I should do the stress diet program. However, the menopause program, here's how to decide. Perhaps if you're number one, if you feel like I am stressed out, that's my biggest concern. It's not menopause. It's just that my life is so stressful and I've had hypothyroid and adrenal issues in the past, then I would lean towards a stress diet program. However, if you are just menopausal and since menopause, you've gained a little bit of weight and you don't feel like stress is that big of an issue, and you want to understand how estrogen and progesterone and hormone replacement therapy and bone health and all that kind of stuff moving forward, then the menopause program is probably where you want to go. And by the way, the two programs, if you can kind of think of them as, whereas the stress diet is a pretty strict EL, eat less, exercise less approach, and it's meant to be followed mainly for a short period of time. It's not something you do forever and ever. The menopause program is more of, not as strict of an approach, not as much as like a stress detox type approach or a metabolic vacation, so to speak. And it's something that you pretty much can follow for life. And so I hope that answers some of that for you. Okay, Jade, I've recently been diagnosed with PCOS, low estrogen, and high ALT. Could this help me? Absolutely, this can help you. In fact, I would say for those of you who are dealing with PCOS, Metabolic Effect probably is eventually going to put out a PCOS program by itself, which is why it's a good idea if you're planning on, getting these programs. The All Access Pass might be something you want to look into because we probably will release a PCOS program eventually. But the PCOS program will look an awful lot like the stress diet program in the exercise and diet component. What will change is some of the supplement recommendations that may change. And with PCOS, I'll just go ahead and give you this and you guys can write it down. Make sure you talk to your doctor. But one of the things that I would do is following the stress diet, get this program. And then in addition, if you came to see me in my clinic, I would probably do two things for you. I would put you on our product called Metabolic Complex, which is a metabolic multiple high in alpha lipoic acid. And I would also put you on a product called berberine, berberine, Berine, berberine. Those two things I've had phenomenal success with PCOS in the clinic. And given that your ALT is high, you also may want to consider some milk thistle or something like that. But believe it or not, the alpha lipoic acid inside the metabolic complex will do an amazing job at healing your liver. It's very, very healthy for that. So hopefully that answers that. Dr. J, can you please provide some more information on the workout plan? I am ready to tone it down, but I am fearful to turn it down a lot despite having a feeling it is exactly what I need to do. Aesthetics aside, I am a strength coach who loves to move and lift heavy. And Aaron, guess what? You and I'm telling you, we are in the same boat. And here's what I would recommend for you. It's actually pretty simple. So, like, let's take, what I was doing previously, by the way, in those two pictures, I was working out maybe 5 to 6 times, 4 to 6 times a week. And then in the other picture, I was basically doing anywhere from 2 to 4 times per week. And what I did is I moved from splits and things like that, whereas before I might be doing upper body, lower body, or bis and tris and back. And what I did is I moved to full body conditioning workouts. And so maybe, I was doing 2 to 4 full body conditioning workouts. And that worked really well for me to help me hold on to my muscle. The other thing about the 3-2-1 program, because you're going to be having plenty of protein, you will not lose much muscle on this plan, if any at all, actually. I've worked with enough people to see that. And the other thing is, because you are lowering stress hormones so dramatically, remember, cortisol is a catabolic hormone. It burns fat, but it also strips muscle off the body. And so one of the profound things that this is doing is lowering cortisol, which also is going to be pretty profound in allowing you to do less and get more bang for your buck. But remember, and this goes for all of you, I want you to be thinking about, and this is all taught in all of our programs. What you do is you start with a guideline. Remember what I said, stop being the dieter and start being the detective, which means you need to fit this protocol, learn this protocol, use it as a guideline, and then adjust as you need to. So long as your heck is in check, the whole idea of the stress diet is to help you get back to balance, help you get the results that you've been lacking. And then you can move back slowly into a more rigorous routine. Now with a better understanding of how to keep your heck in check. Does that make sense? Here's another question. So what material is exactly this program come in ebook, emails, and videos? Okay, great. If you have internet access and you can read an email, you can get this program. It comes in ebook, emails, and videos. Okay, so you're gonna log in and you're gonna have a manual to download. That's basically a Word document. That's just an overview. And then you're gonna have probably 40 short videos. We try to make them short so you're not sitting there watching these things like crazy to kind of look and go through. However, because we know, and it's the stress diet program, right? We did not want to stress you out with a bunch of information, which you have to sit and watch all this stuff. And so we have the manual in there, which is a quick sort of cheat sheet, quick start guide. And as you've seen, the overall procedures, the 3-2-1, obviously the program goes in much more detail on the 3-2-1 and the Rnr type stuff and things like that. But the program is meant, and it's really built not to be too stressful, but is completely online in all of those formats. So I hope that answers your question. Okay. Just a clarification, Jade. I bought programs a year ago. Should I purchase this program to benefit from the coaching? I do not currently have access to the coaching. You won't have to do that, Ginger. So very sweet of you to ask. But if you have bought our programs in the past, we will give you coaching along with that. All you have to do is request to be into our coaching program, and we will see that you purchase from us and have our programs, and we will let you in there. And that's just something we're doing now for all of our customers, both past and present and future. So yes, please get involved with the coaching. And what I would do is get the updated version, Ginger, go through the program and go through this new group of people who are coming in, because that's one of the benefits, you guys, for doing the stress program now. You get to go through with a group, and the community is fantastic. Not only do you have the coaches, right, but you also have the community group. Okay, So question, I already purchased the female fat loss and mind program and want to purchase the stress program. I would rather purchase the lifetime membership, but can I get it at a reduced price? That's not going to work, unfortunately. And the reason why, and I'm sure all of you will understand this, I understand your sentiment. But here's the problem with that is that as a company, we have to be fair, right? We can't have one policy for one person and then another policy for other people. And so obviously, many people have bought programs and then decided, hey, I'm going to continue purchasing from Metabolic Effect, so I will just get the lifetime access pass. And so that's what we would ask you to do. It's a fairness issue, and we want to make sure that the policy is the same across the board for everyone. But thank you so much for that. Just keep in mind, if you do get that now, all the programs that are released in the future, which we should have another 3 to 5 coming out this year, you will get, and you won't have to purchase those. So thanks for that question. It's probably a great question that other people had as well. Your link worked for the shape calculator. Thank you. And the software automatically opened up the website to purchase this program. So it looks like your software for this webinar is working. Thought I would let you know. Oh, thanks so much, Holly. Yeah, I mean, it's a new webinar, so software, and you guys can kind of give me some feedback if you like it, and it seemed to work well for you. It's just, I'm getting used to it. We were using a different one previously. So I'm going to take 3 more questions, and then actually I gotta break out because my parents are waiting for me with dinner, believe it or not. I got to drive across town and hang out with them. But let me take 3 more questions, and then those of you who have any other questions, why don't you go over to our Facebook page and you can ask those questions there, and a coach will try to get to you. So here we go. Do you have a family/spouse discount, or shall I share the program with my husband? We do not have a family discount, but obviously, if you're gonna want to share the program with your significant other, that's great. We just ask that you don't share it with anyone outside of the family. Let's see. So how would I request coaching when I sign up? Okay, so after you sign up, you'll see in the welcome drop down of the program itself, it will tell you where to go to request coaching. And here is my final question. Let's see. Well, I'll answer 2 more questions. Let's see. If I purchase the menopause plan and find that I'm supposed to be following a stress diet, can I change it to that without a problem? What you can do is you can buy the menopause program, and within 30 days, you can ask for a refund, and we will give you a refund, and then you can purchase the stress diet program. So we do allow that, but if it's outside of that 30 days, again, we won't give you a refund. We're hard and fast on that, again, because as a company, and I know you guys all get this, it's really an integrity issue. We can't break those rules for some people and not for others. So we do stay pretty strict with that 30 days. So just make sure you ask for your refund within 30 days, and we will give you that refund, and then you can go ahead and purchase the stress program if that's how you want to do that. Okay, final question. I've had sleep problems for over 10 years now, and I've been steadily gaining weight. I suspect high cortisol issues, possibly high estrogen as well. How would you recommend I go about fixing it? I am already taking magnesium, B12, vitamin D, ashwagandha, and rhodiola. Okay, great question, and I hate to answer it this way, but this is answered inside the stress diet program. It will give you the answers to this, but the short answer is this, okay? And I think I want everyone to listen to this. The short answer is this. The B12, the vitamin D, the ashwagandha, the rhodiola, and the magnesium are not going to be the major fix. Remember what I told you, Rnr first. I've seen it so many times now, guys, that I can't tell you enough. Next is the nutrition piece. Next is the diet piece. Finally, then comes medications, magnesium, B12, vitamin D, ashwagandha, and all of those things. But you will get an education on all of that stuff inside this program. In fact, you'll understand when to take ashwagandha and when to take rhodiola. You'll understand the differences between those 2 herbs. That's one of the things that you're going to get an awful lot of. All right, so I have to move on. If you have any other questions, please go to metaboliceffect.com's Facebook page and ask there. Thank you so much, everybody, for being on with me tonight. Please also let me know how you liked the webinar as well in terms of the broadcast and everything and how it went for you. Thanks so much, everybody, and we will talk soon. I'm going to leave this up for just a sec as I get prepared to go over to my parents' house. But you guys have a wonderful night.